Okay, so most people have never actually met a true believer. Now sure, we've read stories about believers, we know that true believers exist, but we hardly ever see them. Well, Be Holy is a podcast that shines light on the behaviors, the mindset, and the duties of a believer, so that we can recognize God's children even when they don't look like God's children. Yeah, it's a bit of a process.
Each lesson is given by our own Pastor Nard. Your sins have been forgiven. All you have to do is believe it, and God will help you through your journey. You've traveled long enough without Him.
Today on Be Holy.
There are words and instructions for a son to follow, and it's best that he follows them. Now, we're going to go right on over to Proverbs chapter 6 today. We're going to go over to Proverbs chapter 6. Yesterday was Father's Day. And we went through these verses on Father's Day at the church service. And we got some things this morning that I think God gave us just a few seconds ago before we even started doing the broadcast. And it's Proverbs chapter 6, and it starts at verse number 20. And it says this: "My son, obey your father's commands and don't neglect your mother's instructions." Obey your father, but don't neglect your mother. These are things for sons. Now, you can use it as sons and daughters, but really, this is talking to Jesus Christ. And you're saying, well, are you saying that God is talking to Jesus Christ? No, that's not what I'm saying. These are instructions to his flesh. Remember, he was a fleshly being and God lived on the inside. But these are things were written for our learning so that we can do the same things. So if his flesh had to obey the instructions that God was giving him, we also have to obey those same instructions that God has given us. We need to obey the same instructions that God has given us. So God gave instructions for Christ. You know, he was a tender plant growing up and learning the ways, right? So also we have to be tender plants to actually learn the ways of God. Now, God lived in the body, but not necessarily the body knew God, or that the body was going to obey God. It had to be taught to obey God, just like we have to be taught to obey God. Before we got here, God gave us instructions before we were born. And so now that we're living, life in itself has changed the way we think about God and things that we follow and understand about God. So God has to come back and reiterate what he said to us. We have to learn how to obey God. We have to learn how to follow instructions. So one, he actually gives us parents. So the parents actually train us in order to follow instructions, to hear instructions, to even when you're upset, still follow the instruction. You don't deviate from the instruction just because you don't like what the instructions are. That's what God is teaching us by us having parents. One parent will teach you, another parent will teach you. One parent will have commands and everything and instructions, and another parent will have teachings to that child and teachings to you. That's why it's important for us to have both of the parents, because we need them both. We need them both. We learn how to follow instructions. Listen, you show me someone on the job who can't follow instructions, and I'll show you somebody who did not listen to their parents. You show me somebody who will not follow instructions in school, and I'll show you somebody who did not follow instructions from their parents. They didn't listen to them. And then it also talks about this. Just because your father says one thing, that don't mean that you ignore your mother. Just because your mother says one thing doesn't mean that you ignore your father. You don't neglect your mother's instruction because you're obeying your father's commands. They're supposed to go hand in hand. But we won't learn that if we don't listen to our parents, especially our father. If we don't listen to him, we will not do well in the world in itself. Now, I'm telling you, if you talk to most criminals, ask them what their relationship was or is with their father. Ask them what their relationship is with their mother. Ask them how are they dealing with their father and mother? Do they talk to their father and mother? Did they have a good relationship with their father and mother? Herein lies the problem right here. It starts here. Hearing your father's commands and not neglecting your mother's instruction. Somebody will say, well, what if my father's not saved? What if he was giving me the wrong information? You are supposed to what? Follow your father's. You're supposed to obey your father's instructions. And then when it comes to your mother, you're supposed to hear her too. I trust and believe that even if they have the wrong information, God will make you hear the right information. But if you practice not listening to your parents, you will not listen to God. You can't hear him if you don't hear your parents. Even if they're giving you the wrong information, you got to at least be able to hear that they're giving you the wrong information in order for you to actually hear the right information from God. If you ignore your parents, that is not good. That's the first thing. It says, honor your father and mother. That's the first commandment where you have a promise to live long on the earth if you do that. And we're not talking about just this earth. We're talking about this earth and the next earth. See that God's going to destroy heaven and earth that we see now, and going to give us a new heaven and new earth. And he promises that if you are listening to your parents now on this earth, on the next life or the next earth, you will actually live long on that planet also. So it's best to listen to your parents. And don't listen to anybody who's telling you not to listen to your parents. Oh, your parents don't know anything. Your parents is this. Your parents are that. They're uneducated. They're not this. They don't have a degree. They don't have this. Don't you listen to that. You listen to your parents. God put you under their supervision on purpose. It's because of them that you're here. God used them to bring you here. However you got here, it don't matter. You're here now. Hear your parents. Hear them. And a lot of times, parents really go off. They really go off and be, disenchanted, because the children don't listen. They don't have anybody that they can talk to. They don't have anybody to give the instructions to. They're always disrespected, this, that, and the other. And so they just give up. And Lord help you if your parents give up on talking to you. Yeah, good luck. You're going to be doing a lot of praying soon because you're going to find out that you actually need your parents. Just like I need my parents. My father taught me things when I was a kid that I don't necessarily utilize now. I mean, I don't throw them away. They're still in my pocket. I know what he said. But since I'm a grown man now, I actually have to sift through that, what he gave me, and see what I can pass on to my son. Just because I'm older, just because I'm an adult, that don't mean I negate what he said. Yeah, I'm an adult now, but I can actually hear a whole lot more now. I can read through a little more now. God can deal with me more now. And I keep all those instructions that he gave me as a kid. I keep them in my pocket. Watch this. Verse 21 says, keep their words always in your heart. Tie them around your neck. Your neck is not going anywhere without those words. If you tie those things around your neck, those things that they're saying to you, you tie them around your neck and you keep those instructions, you'll never lose them. We talked about that yesterday. I'm going to show my age now. It's like a thing of when we were younger, if you had a house key and you kept losing it, what would you do? You would actually get a shoestring or some kind of string and put it around your neck so you wouldn't forget it, a chain or whatever, and put it around your neck and so you wouldn't forget it. It's the same thing. Tie those instructions, tie those words around your neck, hide them in your heart. So when you need them, you pull them out. Keep them in your pocket. So when you need them, you pull them out. Keep them in your mind. So when you need them, you pull them out and you can utilize them. Not just use them, you can utilize them. It's one thing to use a thing, but it's another thing to utilize the thing that you're using. Keep their words always in your heart. Tie them around your neck. And when you walk, their counsel will lead you. And when you sleep, they will protect you. That's verse number 22. When you wake up, they will advise you. Those same words that you tied around your neck, they won't leave you. Train up a child the way they should go, and it won't depart from it. If you train them up, this is what they're going to do. They're going to keep those words in their hearts and in their minds. They're going to do that thing and tie it around their neck. And so no matter what happens, that's what they're supposed to do. Now, that's us. But if you really look at these verses, Jesus said, I came in the volume of the book. In other words, the whole book was about me. This is what Jesus did. He obeyed his father's commands and did not neglect his mother's instruction. Remember, she told him, go get, they're at the wedding and they needed wine or whatever it was. And they said, she told the servants, go get him do whatever he tells you. And he told them to go get some water. They got the water. He made the water into wine. He says right here, my son, obey your father's commands and do not neglect your mother's instruction. Keep their words around your heart always and tie them around your neck. And when you walk, their counsel will lead you, and when you sleep, they will protect you. And when you wake up, they will advise you. For their command is a lamp and their instruction a light. Their corrective discipline is the way to life. And that's what he did. You didn't see him disrespect his mother. He did what the spiritual father said. That body obeyed. That body obeyed the words of God to no end. Even when it was going to kill him, he still obeyed it. And we sit around talking about, well, I can't do this because I'm not ready. And I can't do, well, maybe you're not ready. Okay. But you remember, Jesus did everything that God told him to do. Everything. Everything that body was instructed to do, he did it. Even when it came down to it, he said, listen, is there any way for us to get around this judgment about, how can we get around this crucifixion thing and still, is there any way we can get around it? The Spirit didn't answer. And he said at the end of it, not my will, but yours, even if it kills me. Well, this is what happens when you follow a father's, when you follow a father's commands and you don't neglect your mother. You're in for the long haul, and you won't let them forget it, and you won't forget it because it's tied around your neck. Sons, obey the father's commands and don't neglect the instruction of your mother. It's important for your life. Live forever.
Well, how did you feel about today's lesson? Speak with us at beholy116@gmail.com. Share Be Holy with a friend, a colleague, or someone who needs it.
Connect with us today at beholy116@gmail.com. Your support of Be Holy is greatly appreciated. Simply text the word GIFT to 614-363-6133. And if you're ever in Columbus, Ohio, give us a visit. Come visit us.
Brought to you by the First Church of Christ Apostolic Way, a small church with a big heart.